Today we have our another new episode, and we have our world famous speaker, Mr. Rob Enderle and Professor Fred Philip. We will discuss on talent economy, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing. You know, Tando already started this strategic AI program. Definitely, we are launching it in Bangladesh with Chittagong Engineering University. Also, with just recently, we get our agreement with Atish Dipankar University. Hopefully, the chairman will join today's program. First, I would like to ask Mr. Rob Enderle how you want to define this talent economy, AI, and quantum computing ecosystem.
Well, for a long time, we've kind of thought that quantum computing was going to be off into the mid part of the century, 2040, 2050, and turns out that's not the case. We're starting to get decent quantum emulations, and there's been quite a bit of success, particularly in the labs in China, to show that quantum computing can work and that we're close to making it a very real service. That means we're kind of moving out of the labs and into the workrooms, and people are going to have to start developing quantum computing quantum computing skills. The MIT has indicated that right now the desire for quantum computing engineers has tripled over the last couple of years, and so they're already looking for these skill sets to be able to operate both in and outside of education. And of course, education is a serious problem because as they spin up these quantum computing experts, industry is taking these experts, and so we don't have the seed corn being developed in the universities because the people to develop that seed corn, the very professors we want to teach these kids, are being grabbed by industry who can offer them better benefits and higher salaries. So we are at the cusp, I think, of a pivot to broad quantum computing use. Now, taking quantum computing against artificial intelligence to recognize that while the two can operate somewhat synergistically, the one doesn't replace the other. Quantum computing has the capability of massive parallelization, so it means it can handle data sets well beyond anything that our existing computer technology can handle. And it's typically used or thought to be used for things that require massive amounts of calculations, trying to figure out whether an asteroid that has yet to be identified might hit the Earth would be within that parameter of a quantum computer. A lot of variables, a lot of objects that would have to be mapped, and this would all have to be done very quickly, particularly if you wanted to stop that asteroid from hitting the planet. So you get that massive amount of calculation with near instantaneous results, and you can do some interesting things with regard to monitoring the climate and the climate change, being very, very having the ability to be very predictive with regard to weather. That's the kind of things we're talking about here. Some other interesting applications for quantum computing is if you wanted to create a true democracy where everybody participated in most every decision, you would need something like a quantum computer to aggregate and disaggregate all the people real time. And here's the case of that massive parallelism would come into play, particularly if you wanted to index the planet and capture not only what the person thought real time, but without requiring the person to respond. So you're capturing their behavior real time and then rolling that up into what would be their wishes and desires for government. Because right now, if you're trying to do this with an analog computer, there's no way you could do the calculations fast enough, and there would be no way for you to anticipate the base being somehow corrupted and the database being damaged. With a quantum computer, those things become possible, but only if you're using the massive amount of data collection that's available to us through sensors, as well as accessing the individuals. Now, what kind of a world that would be, I don't know, but it showcases where you could use quantum computing, and why people are really excited about it, mostly because of its predictive capability. The predictive capability of a quantum computer, assuming the veracity of the data sets, would be unmatched against other technologies. I'm a pass to Fred.
Thank you. We have our honorable chairman from Atish Dipankar University, Mr. Samsul Alam Liton. Are you with me? Liton bhai? Okay. In that situation, I request Professor Fred Philip how you want to define this talent economy, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and you started your program through Tando, Think and Do Tank, this strategic AI climate certificate program. What you want to discuss, how you integrated this modern science, engineering, and technology. Can you unmute yourself, Professor?
Share the screen. Yeah, let's see how to do that.
We can hear you.
Yes.
So how to share the screen? What do I push? Here, I see.
You can go display. Yeah.
Okay, if I may share this PowerPoint with you. Do you see it?
Yes.
All right.
No. We don't see the PowerPoint.
No.
Now we do.
There we are.
There it is.
All righty. Let me go with slideshow. So I'd like to, do you still see it?
No.
All right. Then we have to do this a little bit differently. Sorry to take the time. Do you see it now? No?
No, not there.
All right. Oh, that's a shame. I had it and then messed it up. Okay, I'll try to go without it then. I'd like to take the conversation a little bit beyond quantum computing. Many of the existing quantum computers are what we call first revolution quantum devices, which, like MRI machines and some other devices, don't make quantum strangeness really overtly visible to the public. But now we have the so-called second revolution quantum devices that do explicitly depend on superposition, on entanglement, and so on. And this is going to make quantum strangeness very much more visible to the public, either in an accurate way or more likely in a very inaccurate way. Going to make an argument here based on the children's game of whispering down the lane. Sometimes the game is known as telephone, and it's been formalized, that game, in communication theory and political science. And it means that as a message goes, in this case, from scientists to investors and entrepreneurs to the press to certain kinds of individuals who then turn around and put it on their social media. Well, you know, Feynman famously said that nobody understands quantum mechanics.
Even if somebody in social media.
And so when scientists talk to us about quantum phenomena, they have to put it in terms of metaphors. Okay, now, metaphors are comparisons. They're not rigorous descriptions and they can't be, because quantum phenomena are so very far away from our everyday experience. So going back to that chain of communication, the children's telephone game, suppose the scientist relates a metaphor about quantum to investors and entrepreneurs, and they decide to hype their products with the most whizzy possible explanation of the quantum basis of their products. And they tell that to the journalists, who then turn around and in the media, well, we know that journalists are not above engaging in a certain sensationalism. And then the message goes to individual readers and listeners of the press who connect that faulty information with their own psychological predispositions. So my thesis here is that inaccurate information about quantum is going to add to susceptible people's already very unsettled ideas about what they thought reality was as they were growing up. Now, there are a number of metro regions around the world who are now touting themselves as centers for the development and commercialization of these second generation quantum devices. Okay, so when I say that the quantum weirdness is more in front of people now, there's one company that says they provide entanglement on demand. Okay, the kind of a utility company. And I'll come back to that later. But these regions are putting second revolution quantum stuff in front of everybody, and because they think it helps with their local economic development. And then the companies themselves are already presenting their quantum products with the whizziest possible language. And I want to say that people's sense of reality, which they used to regard as a rock solid thing, is already substantially eroded. Let me give you a list of things that illustrate this. Let's start with Photoshop. Okay, that was the end of photographic evidence being admissible in court. But beyond Photoshop, and since then, we have virtual reality, we have AI deepfakes, we have counterfactual social media memes, we have disinformation campaigns. Some of them are state-sponsored, some of them are corporate-sponsored. There's phishing, there's with a PH. There's the shutdown of reliable government data sources. There's all kinds of scams out there, financial, medical, love-related scams. Cryptocurrency, oh my gosh. And there's people selling what they call unreal estate in the metaverse. So people are starting to think that the ground of reality isn't going to solidly support their next step. Okay, now we've got quantum entanglement and certain scientists' idea that space is not real. It's, a mathematical construct rather than something we see and feel with our bodies. There's the multiverse hypothesis. There's the related hypothesis that we're all somebody else's simulation. All this could be I think it will be psychologically disturbing to a lot of susceptible people. Now, how many people are susceptible? I've looked up studies, and it's a distressingly high percentage. Often the number given is up to 25% who can be shaken by such things, although most of the studies aren't explicitly about quantum. But other studies say that among Americans, at least 50% believe in one political conspiracy theory or one economic conspiracy theory. So if this goes on, I think we can expect more nihilism, more enemy, less social trust, more resistance to science, conspiracy theories, new cults, maybe psychoses. And already the news is reporting that, quote, conspiracy theorists are losing their minds about CERN's big shutdown. That's the particle accelerator in Switzerland. And we're seeing headlines like, let me bring up a couple of these. Okay, different press media, have different levels of credibility. One with, I think, very low credibility, their headline is, "You could send messages to your past self with this mind-melting technology, scientists say." Well, the scientists don't say. Okay, now here's a rather more credible publication with their headline, "Man Vanishes After Mysterious Experiments with Quantum Physics." Well, people vanish every day, and it's always after some event and before other events. So this is maybe not hot news, but you can see how people with certain mindsets will grab onto this and feel disturbance and pass on that disturbance to people in their social media spheres. So that's it. I think we can expect a lot of scientific restrictions. Scientific opposition, the way a lot of people are now opposing vaccines. There are things that responsible people can do. I think scientists can take instruction maybe from the Union of Concerned Scientists about how to talk to the press and how to avoid technical jargon and misleading phrases when talking to the public. Scientists and entrepreneurs have to curb their enthusiasm. And quantum technology is absolutely wonderful, but when you hear yourself starting to say, "This changes everything," don't say it. Zip your mouth shut. Okay. I think we could, this group perhaps could craft a guide for the press and title it "How to Write About Quantum." All right. So we all need to be careful about how we represent these things. The U.S. state that I live in is New Mexico. It's always been known as the land of enchantment. And the quantum group now is touting it as the land of entanglement, which is very cute, but I'm not sure it's exactly the right thing that they want to put in front of the public. And incidentally, they're very proud of the number of second revolution quantum companies that are either starting in New Mexico or coming to New Mexico to grow. But I think the real trick to keeping them here is going to be building an actual long-distance quantum communication network, perhaps from Los Alamos all the way down to Las Cruces on the Mexican border. And that's a much different economic development task than simply attracting companies. You have to lay new physical infrastructure and get adjoining towns and jurisdictions to agree to share the cost of that. And that's a very big political problem that our New Mexico Economic Development Department hasn't even thought of yet. So that's another challenge for the future, aside from trying to deal with the psychological impact of all this. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Fred. Before I go to Lisa, we have our world famous speaker, Dr. Sanjay Joshi. He is a president of Balshayog. Honorable Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, she started this think tank, and now Indian Prime Minister also patron for this think tank, Balshayog. Honorable Dr. Sanjay Joshi, you are one of the special guests for today's session. I want to give thanks to join today's sessions. India, starting with lot of research, innovation on quantum computing, AI. India has lot of youth. It's billions of people live in India. I'm from a small country, Bangladesh. So Dr. Sanjay, what's your thought about talent economy, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing? Can you unmute yourself, yes. Honorable?
Well, thank you for allowing me to say something on quantum and AI and the talent economy. And you all were already onto the discussion when I joined a little late due to my own issues that I was handling at that end. And well, in terms of the quantum, I feel that the world is trying to look at quantum as an elixir, and that is that needs to be sort of harmonized. And given the fact that nothing, somebody has to guard the guardian. So as far as some of the things on quantum is concerned, Fred has already, highlighted some of the pitfalls. So there is no need to repeat them. And, AI, I have been involved with child rights and, child rights and protection, child care. And for me, the onslaught of AI on the psyche of a child becomes all the more concerning. And I have been, sort of trying to understand and grapple whether the governance structure around the AI vis-a-vis the rights of the child, the protection mechanism for the child, and the governance of those rules can really be harmonized vis-a-vis the growth and the holistic growth. And I'm really concerned about the humane aspect of AI, which appears to be not all that addressed at the moment. We are talking about technology taking over, but then the issues and the problems associated with artificial intelligence vis-a-vis the use of AI by children, is really alarming, and it needs to be sort of regulated in some way. I wouldn't be going by the word that we follow the Australian or the UK example of banning everything, because that might not be the best way. But yes, there is some need of regulation. That is my take presently on AI. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to chip in. I am no authority at the moment, but I would really like to be, educated on this by the August, panel that we have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sanjoy. This panel is extraordinary. We have a famous speaker, another famous speaker, Lisa. It's a very good moment for you. You can build a new communities. We have Mr. Samsul Alam Litton. I want to say he is a media person, politician, as well as a very successful entrepreneur. He is a chairman of Atish Dipankar University, Science and Technology. Atish Dipankar, one of the scholars from Bangladesh, but he was wise man. Samsul Alam Litton Bhai. Bhai means brother. We have our Indian Prime Minister's think tank, Balshayog. I want to go a little bit off topic. Honorable Prime Minister from India, Indira Gandhi, she started this Balshayog, and all of the prime ministers actually, according to Dr. Sanjoy, I learned from him that they are patron. Let's say right now Narendra Modi, he's a patron of Balshayog. As you are politicians, do you have a plan, anything for AI or quantum computing think tank? Yes, we have our Tando for Bangladesh Prime Minister for capacity building. Is it practically possible? Even India is not so far from Bangladesh. India is very near. Bangladesh has anything like this, or your political party has any plan like this? Liton Bhai.
Yeah, can I take some time more because I was not listening for my technical issues here, and in my building in London is a commercial building. There are some internet issues for this, so that I was not listening to others. So can I join after 5 minutes? Can I say a few words after 5 minutes, please?
Yeah. Basically, my question is very simple. As you are running Atish Dipankar University, as well as you have a strong engagement with Bangladesh politics, and India has a very good example. I really like this Balshak, this think tank, and Indian Prime Minister's taking care as a patron for this think tank. Is there any think tank or anything you have in mind to develop like this Balshak or this kind of think tank for Bangladesh or for Bangladesh Prime Minister or for your universities? Its idea is very, very interesting for us. How Indira Gandhi developed this, Honorable Prime Minister developed this thing. That is the discussions I want to do with you. Maybe it's off topic, but this is a very good example and learning opportunity for Bangladesh.
It's okay. Few words, yeah. That's fine. Thank you, other distinguished guests, other distinguished speakers. Really is the opportunity to be here and say a few words. And do you listen? Is it clear? My voice is clear? Do you listen? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, you are audible.
Background noise, but we can hear you.
Okay, fine. Thank you. As you already introduced me as the chairman of the trustee board of Atish Dipankar University, and we, after 2 decades of the university, we have some visionary works, and we have established an innovation hub, and we are working closely with. Hello, sorry.
Yes. Please continue.
Okay. So we are on the way to establish an innovation hub that will be launched at the end of this year. So we are trying to establish some international institution who are working on GIS and the relevant sciences. So what you are saying that whether we have in our mind to establish a think tank like Balshak or something like that. I know about something, about this Indian think tank. India has some other think tanks also, political institutions linked with and some science-based think tanks and political analytical institutions. And definitely we can learn South Asian institution like Indian think tanks, and we are going to join some international forums. So our R&D department, they are working on it, and Dr. Sharif, I think if we discuss on return to Bangladesh on mid of September, we'll discuss these things and we'll try to explore these opportunities where we can be benefited and where we can extend opportunity for our thousands of students who are seriously interested. We maintain our teachers and students like a fellowship relation, so that if we can show the pathway to learn from this institution, that will be helpful for our faculties, for our junior fellows like students and researchers as well. Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for introduce these sort of things and this sort of think tanks. And we're really interested to know the learning pathways from India, from Far Eastern countries like Korea, Japan, and definitely cross-Atlantic states. Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Thank you, Liton Bhai. Like you know that already you are partner of Tando. Tando is one of the largest think tank in North America, many Nobel Prize winner, and many famous scientists from around the world. We have more than 100 active famous scientists in our think tank. And perhaps even when I was in IIT, they are also part of Dr. Nikhil Agarwal. I think with this network and with this platform, your university and Bangladesh can gain maximum access. That's why I also bring Dr. Sanjoy, because he has excellent role model. They are also our research partner. We are publishing scientific paper together. I think Dr. Sanjoy, you want to add some point?
I think, now that Liton Bhai has, sort of highlighted that, they are planning to have some kind of, interaction or some kind of working relationship with international bodies. And the fact that, Liton Bhai is handling the university, the introduction of teaching enabled, or AI enabled teaching, I must say, needs to be, developed in the universities of South Asia, including India. And the faculty development program, has been a very successful initiative that has been done in India. So you could have different departments can be the teachers can be provided the wherewithal and the explanation about the role of technology, a role of AI vis-a-vis teaching. How can teaching, learning methods can be strengthened with the role of AI and quantum. So, and also to help them understand the pitfalls, associated with this. So maybe I'm not trying to say that you are not doing, but if there is this room of introducing more so in the rural colleges and universities where the need is much more felt, and India for that matter, because it has a lot of mushrooming of colleges and academic institutions. So we are trying to put that in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sanjoy. Lisa, as you are expert of community development, so my question, how will AI and quantum computing transform global talent economy and the skill required for future jobs? Lisa.
Lisa, you are on mute.
That took a few moments. No, as we are moving forward through this process, what we have to take a look at is where we are. When it comes to artificial intelligence and quantum work, what we're looking at is, the realm of the intellectual, those that do study and are trying to make headway using this new technology. For us, it's very exciting. And I would be a liar if I didn't say so. But what we're also dealing with is generation upon generation of people in the general public who, for a number of years, especially in nations like mine, have been progressively pushed toward learning less and being taught only enough to make themselves good workers and contributors to the workforce. With AI and our quantum neighbors, what we're looking at is a seeming threat to that workforce. That one of the biggest concerns for the common man is that AI would take over for a great number of professions, meaning that we would be deprived of the human factor and, oh my God, what shall we do? What it really comes down to is this simplification of the educational process by many nations, including mine, to only have people develop enough intellect to make good workers at the jobs that they do. And we're looking at this major gap that has resulted. And of course, the very first thing we find is people tend to go back to a number of old superstitions, like those that believe that the earth is flat. And yes, that population still exists. And for those who believe that autism is caused by vaccinations, which of course is untrue. It's part of a genetic spectrum. And of course, developed by governments to make it seem that those on the spectrum actually are less than, rather than people who have a brain that is capable of much higher levels of development. And because the general public is seemingly deprived of that higher development, of course, they fall prey to the fact that a brain that works on all four cylinders at once, instead of just the occipital lobe, which is what is highly developed in classroom circumstances, are suffering. So as we move forward with these differences that come along, we have to make those decisions. How much are we going to be able to pass some of this information on to the general public and put them in a position where they can even understand the basics of these two sciences and be able to function in them? So what we're looking at with AI is we're going through these first few phases where it is those who wish to take advantage of the ignorance of the average person and use AI to influence, move in certain directions, even steal. And of course, we had the incidents with ChatGPT a number of months ago, where it actually was giving out information to those who were despondent on how they could end their own lives. So as we're moving forward with all of these different things that we have going on, everyone here is absolutely correct in everything that they're saying. But we're looking at this great divide in between those that can use these technologies and those who will fear them. And how do we resolve that issue? Well, the processes and protocols that we have set up for the general public will need to be altered and changed in order to accommodate this new technology, which ideally is designed to help every single one of us. As long as we have these groups who, through a lack of education, through a standardized system, causes a great deal of fear and confusion, we'll have those who will rebel against technology and science itself. So setting up those types of protocols where access is given at every single level, by whether it is a stair-stepping method of instruction, where people can go up to a certain level and stop with the acknowledgement that there's more. And those of us who are developers, who work from the very topmost levels of human development and human technology, can actually put these things into a space where being able to work with the public space can be a much easier thing to do. That is going to take time. And we're working through these phases where the early things that go on with any new technology, the first things we deal with are the fact that the laws of our nations have yet to keep up with these as they move forward. And we've seen this side by side, where we have all of these wonderful things coming at us about the possibilities of these technologies that we're looking at, working at, and using to advance our society, versus what the detriment is when it is applied to the portions of the populations who deliberately have been kept at a specific level of mental and emotional development by our leaders as a whole in order to control more easily, move more easily. And that is why we have certain leaders around the world who are actually saying, well, why bother with this? We have too many people. Let's depopulate. A movement that a lot of people aren't really talking about, but one that we have to address, because we already know that this planet that we're on, even with the global warming issues, is perfectly capable of dealing with all of the people that are on it right now. It's just the configuration of how these people are addressing the land, the soil, the water, the air. And well, that also needs to change, because what we're looking at is a very powerful motion away from governments owning all business, all technology, all development, and having the people on the ground who were used to working in offices and simple development programs are being left out because technology is taking over. What do? These are issues that we have to look at and solve. Otherwise, yes, what we're looking at is the very predictable thing that occurs whenever any new technological age comes in, and that's a world war. We've had that every single time we have entered a new age of technological advancement. How do we stay away from that at this point in time? People wanting to get in contact with me. They drive me crazy. They call all the time. So that's a practical application that I'm looking at. How do we get this done? Do we work this from the top down? Well, no, we found that from the top down, everyone is controlling. We work this from the ground up. That means coming into the knowledge of what is actually there on the ground. What is working well? What is very sound? How do we spread that knowledge to others? Now, AI can certainly be of a huge help. We also have a number of other technologies that can assist as well. It comes to those explorations, not just by those of us who want to see the very end of our mental capacities, working with these new technologies, but what can be done with these technologies to solve problems we already have and the problems that always arrive when these new technologies come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, for your excellent comment. And I know that you are running an ecosystem for NGO and foundations. You know, when we go for reskilling our human resources, I think Balshayok doing, Aatish Dibankar University is doing the same thing, Tando is doing the same thing. In that situations, we need donor agencies who can invest for this human capital development. So hopefully with your ecosystem, we can invite different donors in Global South and we can work together.
Very much so. We have a lot of architects, scientists, engineers that wish to work towards sustainable development and maintaining many of those elements of the past that actually have contributed to our present. One of these that one of my groups is working on is the Center for Language Safeguarding. There are a number of languages upon this planet that are at danger of disappearing completely. Language is history. The words that we have formed throughout history represent certain issues that we have, certain problems we face. And there is that portion of society that believes that the problems we face are ones that we have faced before. So as we preserve these languages, what we do is we start to discover that certain groups, whether they're of large numbers or small, actually had some answers to problems that we have right now. And these can have to be looked at and developed as well. And will artificial intelligence find these? Only with our help, which is why this specific group has been formed. Primarily, we're working on the African continent right now. In Africa alone, there are over 500, well, actually closer to 800 languages that are at high risk of disappearing completely. As we work to preserve these languages, and we will be using artificial intelligence to do so, what we're going to be doing is analysis, study, and rediscovery of the reasons why certain indigenous groups spoke in clicks and whistles rather than in the words that the rest of us use. We'll very likely find it was something that they used so that when out in the wild, whether they're hunting or fishing or trying to find clean water, they developed these languages so that other creatures around that could prey upon them would not be able to recognize that they are there, except if they were close enough to smell. The sounds that they make are ones that they found in nature and used them and copied them in order to communicate back and forth in a different way than the rest of us do. And of course, as we move forward through this process, we're going to be discovering things that will seem brand new, but it comes down to everything old becomes new again. A process that does repeat over and over. Because at the very baseline of humanity comes down to the fact that we are all in many ways the same. The same needs, the same desires, these don't change. And we can't leave them behind simply because we've got something new and shiny going around in front of us that we want to examine with everything that we have. Those of us who make that our work and our life's pursuit. For those majority that are living on the ground who can be responsible for our future, our ability to eat and drink, our ability to discover new things about who we are, what we think. What we're looking at is
Thank you, Lisa.
everyone still contributes to the whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob, what's your thought about the government and university, how they can redesign education system?
Well, I think we've mentioned this before, and this will be my last part of this because I've got to run to another meeting at the top of the hour. And we'll never make it back around. So what we've got right now is a need for certain skill sets that don't currently exist. Hybrid skill sets that allow somebody to take quantum computing and apply it to an actual problem. And one of the more interesting skill sets, of course, is the skill set that combines artificial intelligence and quantum computing, because quantum computing can be used in a number of ways to reduce the cost of training and increase the accuracy of the training set. Semantic deduplication is one of the things that quantum computing can be very good at, as well as course set selection, where the quantum computer can go through and see massive amounts of interrelationships between the data elements, something that existing computers might take years, if not centuries, to do. Quantum computing can do it in seconds or minutes. So the ability to make AI much more accurate, much more representative of the data sets that trained it, and to also find that the errors in those data sets, a lot of the data sets we're using are just massive, terabytes after terabytes, and really they don't need to be that massive. You can simulate them down to a much smaller amount of data, but that means you've got to analyze that data set at scale. And that's something that quantum computers are really good at. But if somebody doesn't understand how to use the technology, then it's worthless to them. So the kinds of skills that we should be focusing on now is less on the pure science of quantum computing and more on the bridge skills, people that understand maybe a bit about medical technology and quantum computing, that understand artificial technology and quantum computing, that understand how to translate between IT and quantum computing, that have that breadth of knowledge that allows them to bridge the two technology sets, and that's probably where in the next few years where the need's going to be. Also recognize we need to be able to pull people in and out of education much more easily. As I mentioned before, the demand for quantum computing specialists has gone up 300%, and they're pulling from education, which means we don't have the people to train the students because they're going out from the industry too quickly, which suggests that education needs to find a way to bring these people back in to do teaching. So they may have their main job as a quantum computing specialist for an IT shop, but maybe they teach a night class a few times a week in quantum computing. So we've got an educational loop. So that really overall, and I think I've been saying this for a while, is education really needs to redefine itself. It needs to start focusing not on the jobs that are available today or were available 4 years ago, but on the job requirements that will exist tomorrow in the 4 years to 2 years after the particular education schedule has completed. We need to be building students for the future that's coming, not for the present that's likely going to go away. AI is consuming jobs, and it's doing it at a phenomenal rate. The place that's been most hit, of course, is call centers, and we don't really educate people for call centers to begin with. But it's starting to migrate into other areas. It's migrated pretty heavily into medical. It's migrating pretty heavily into IT right now, and it's having and it's certainly has been migrating very heavily into programming and coding, and that's had significant impacts on staffing levels in technology companies of late. So education needs to step up and address the fact that they need to be much more predictive. The courses of study need to be developing students for the world that will exist once they graduate, not the world that existed maybe 4, 5, 10, 20 years ago, which is really where we are today. Education institutions are really not set up for the amount of massive change we're going through, and that's got to change. And now I've got to run. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Professor Fred, my last question for you. Can AI and quantum computing increase productivity and economic growth while reducing inequality in developing countries? Is it practical?
Yes. The question there is economic growth where? And I see the major overall tension in all of this AI stuff is that, one of our lead institute fellows noted that every technological revolution, aside from causing wars, as Lisa told us, it does a number of things. One of the things it does is to extend the geographical reach of individuals and enterprises. And so it was inevitable that pretty soon the technological revolution would enable a single enterprise to have worldwide reach. Obviously, technology enables that. And of course, Mr. Musk is trying to extend it to planetary reach. But for the moment, let's just talk about worldwide reach. And so we have a number of AI companies and their data center builders who are trying to become one of the top 3 companies that dominate the industry worldwide. Opposing those, we have community initiatives and alliances and coalitions that want to have local AI that don't leak information facility. And why is this? Because if the hyperscalers, which is what they call the centralized companies that want to dominate the world market, all the money and all the data goes to them. User data, it all goes either to and so that's sort of so these localisms is to people in the local control of local AIs, local area AIs, local region control over the hyperscalers are never going to fund. And they're wary about the privacy of that. So the local control of AI the hyperscalers, they're paying off the politicians, both the local politicians in my city, probably, as well as legislators. But they're also so re-election that they're welcome, even if it's from a source that's trying to manipulate. So I think it's all converged to a regime where there's some local control and the Friday eyes were called on. And for that is leadership. Can you hear me? The key to coming to a synthesis here that makes it happy and still about the role for those who are down with the market is to have much stronger local television. That is leadership. I have to say, in America, we are not seeing local research the tension between the global hyperscale and local television. I think that's material across.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Fred. Thank you, Professor Fred. Honorable special guest, Mr. Shamsul Alam Litton, you already partner of Tando. So all of the famous peoples, including many Nobel Prize winners and professor from Harvard, MIT, Stanford, as well as world famous peoples, we are working together in Tando, in North American think and do tank. And as you are running with a university, definitely it's a very innovative university. After you come as a leaders for this Aatish Dipankar, it looked like an amazing growth you did with your university. So what the leadership, investment, talent development strategy you are implementing for Aatish Dipankar universities, and how we can work together to go for this extraordinary growth in Bangladesh.
Yeah, thank you. I'm taking just 1 minute because within 2 minutes I have to join another meeting. And thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Fred. I was listening to you and other distinguished speakers. And actually, it is collaboration. It is only one thing: collaboration and to good networking. And finally, our young people need employment, but that is not only vocational, but also soft skills. Nowadays, by GIS database, they are providing huge opportunity for young people, and we have 6,000 students nowadays, and we are expecting more 5,000 within 1 year. So by summer 2026-27, it will be 10,000 plus. But what we need at least million hours part-time works for our students from international pathway, from BPOs, from IT-based or GIS-based activities, and we want cooperation from developing agencies who are interested for investing for a skill bank, to establish skill bank or climate bank, what you are talking about. And definitely networking is important, and networking with those institutions or personalities who are committed to their planet, to save the planet. And nowadays corporate culture is moving on different way, on different track. After Corona, what we are thinking, world will be moving towards on differently, and macroeconomy macroeconomy will be shrink and microeconomy will be flourished. But last half decades, more than half decade, we have found that our expectations was not realistic, and so after 5 years or 6 years, we have to think on very realistic ground. Cooperation and collaboration, it is easy to say, but difficult to do, particularly in university arena, because it's complex. Ownership of the universities, ownership of the corporates, and somewhere corporates are the owner of the universities, so they are taking and grabbing the innovations, and they are moving billions to trillion-dollar company. So people's empowerment is going down and decline day by day. So nowadays we need to find our holistic partners from every sector. So thank you, Dr. Fred. Definitely, I hope we'll work together and with Tando and any other institutions. But coming days will be more challenging. I have no doubt about it. And we have to be careful about our future and to spend our every hours, every days, every weekend, every month and the years. Thank you. Please take care.
Thank you, Dr. Shamsul. We'll look forward to talking together soon.
Thank you. Thank you. We will go for meeting, and just final thoughts that as talent economy, we are contributing in this ecosystem. So we have a lot of venture capital. We have more than 2,000 venture capital in our ecosystem. Secondly, we definitely want Western world support for this human capital development. Definitely, you have your innovation lab. And number 3 is we want the startup ecosystem through climate leadership program, through climate certificate program. As Bangladesh heavily affected by climate change, we can attract lost and damaged fund. We can attract climate bond and everything. And through this process, we can create more job opportunity for youth. Bangladesh is the best place compared to North America and others. So I want to invite Tando and everyone in Bangladesh. Thank you, Samsul Alam Bhai, for your excellent contributions. Hope our collaboration can bring an excellent success for Global North and for Global South. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care.
Thank you.